In a minute.
Ah, okay.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, it's the full moon. It's messing with you. Or
It
having
must
fun with
be.
you.
I swear to goodness, I am. The last time I hosted, it was screwing up on me. So I don't know. I'm doing something wrong.
Don't worry about it.
Well,
Join
welcome everybody.
Yeah. We're all
Welcome,
here.
welcome everybody.
Welcome to the Sisters of the Mystical Tarot. Um, my name is Sherry, and I will be your host tonight. I sound like somebody on an airplane. Um, or in
Please
one of those
reach your
men's
seats
clubs
and
when
put
you
them
walk
back
through
to
the door.
position.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was kind of stretched for what on earth are we going to talk about this week? I was like flat out of ideas. And then like a flash, it hit me. It was like, oh, Dodo, it's Easter week. There's plenty to talk about here.
Mhm.
So that's what we're going to do tonight. We're just going to talk about the different variations of what happens around Easter time. While one religion may have kind of taken over it, it stems from much older
Yes.
beliefs and practices
Yes.
with probably even better meanings to them. So um, I figured we would start with that. And
Hi, Lisa.
hi, Lisa.
Or is it Lionel?
Where's Lionel?
Yeah,
Bring him to the party.
I was telling them Lionel was back. Oh my goodness. Well, so who would like to go first?
Say hey.
I can. That's fine. I don't mind.
Okay.
I am going to talk a little bit about what Easter used to be. I grew up as a girl that was in the choir, and we went every Easter Sunday and had Easter baskets and all that stuff. And you always got a brand new pair of white Mary Janes that were vinyl, and they would scuff up immediately when you wore them if you got too close, right? I had always had a little purse and a hat, so it was a big deal growing up at that time and doing those things. And later became a Sunday school teacher, and just really enjoyed all of that when I was that age. We all got an Easter lily, it was a big deal. And now that I am not necessarily a person who goes to Christian church, I started a new tradition because in the Buddhist, I won't say religion because it's not, but it's Baby Buddha's birthday on April 3rd every year. And so it's close enough. And and what I did was I one time went to a Buddhist church and went to celebrate Baby Buddha's birthday. And what they do is they have the Buddha with a great big tub around him and sweet iced tea. And you take the sweet iced tea and you pour it over the Buddha and you give your blessings to Baby Buddha. And remember doing it with my kids, and I thought it was so much fun. It was really fun. I only did it once, but it was just a different tradition, but it only showed me that there are so many things that are similar than they're in tradition are not as similar as we might think. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Cadbury caramel eggs. Those are my favorite, and anybody can send them to me. I'll send you my address.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm
I've
looking
had
forward.
lots of bad things in my life. I've never had a piece of bad chocolate.
I don't think I have either.
I have.
No. Oh, you have?
I'm like,
But those are my
especially when it
favorite.
gets old and it sits on the shelf for a while, and you go and it's all white, it's chalky, and it's like
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know why that happens? Because you don't eat it right away. Chocolate is meant to be eaten the
It's
minute
meant to be
it's
eaten.
in your hand.
That's right.
Yeah,
But
there's some rules.
right after Easter, when nobody buys all the Cadbury caramel eggs, you can get them half price.
Yeah.
Like less than 50
I hit
cents.
Walmart the day after Easter and stock up with all kinds of crap.
You got to scarf them
I
up.
really
while
don't
you
need to eat, but
scarf them
Yeah,
up and
way
freeze them
back
if
on
you
the-
have to. Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah, because most of it will keep in the freezer and then every now and again, when you get that little urge, you need something, you go get it out the freezer. So
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
That doesn't work for me because if it's in the freezer, I just hang around the freezer until I eat it all.
It's a way of staving it off, at least for maybe 10
A
minutes.
minute.
That's about it. Yeah.
They used to have a Milky Way egg, and they discontinued it, selling it around here. I think like about 3 or 4 years ago. I don't know if they still sell it anywhere. And oh my God, that was my favorite. Modern.
Yeah.
I love
chocolate was the
caramel.
Milky
Oh
Way.
my God. That's
Oh,
my
yeah.
favorite.
But then
thing.
after that was
Yeah.
like the Lindt, truffles.
Oh,
We would get a
yes.
bag and then put them in the fridge to keep them nice and cold so they wouldn't get too soft. And every now and then when you have that craving, just pop
Yeah.
one and
There
Yeah.
you go.
Unfortunately, there are those of us who can't eat just one of anything.
Well, there are times when I
Oh,
have
my
I'm
mother's
guilty.
rule of life was you must eat chocolate every day in order to survive, even if it's just one bite. And she would walk around. She worked at Joann's. It was Cloth World before it was Joann's, but that's how long she was there. And they wore those big aprons, with all the pockets. And she'd walk around. She always kept a bag of Hershey's Kisses in her pocket.
Oh, that
And
woman.
so she would walk
Thank you,
around
Sir
the
Will
store.
Robinson.
She would walk around the store, and when new customers would come in, she'd reach in her pocket and open out her and said, "Would you like a kiss?"
Aww.
And most of the time, they'd take the chocolate and they would kiss her cheek. So it kind of worked both ways. But she loved
Those are
doing that.
different times than they are
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
Well, I grew up, my mom had a rule that, if you remember the department stores, which are still around, but they'd have a candy department. So we'd get some kind of candy. And her rule was anything that you eat at a stoplight doesn't count, has no calories. So we'd be lunching away at every stoplight.
That's another good policy.
Yeah, I would wake up every Easter and my mom would have like the candy basket from heaven. I mean, it was just loaded, and I would eat as much as I could before getting sick, before even having breakfast.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
didn't care. But I was younger back then, so I could burn it off really quick and go outside and play and whatnot. But yeah, can't do that anymore.
No.
But that
Well,
was my
you know,
favorite.
When I was growing up and until we moved to Canada, Easter was a completely different thing. Like there was no chocolate as such at Easter. It was more of a solemn occasion, right? You did the Easter eggs, you colored those. And there was much more concentration, even though at that time the former Yugoslavia was not a quote unquote religious country. I mean, everyone observed their own religion as they wanted. So it was always a little somber about, you remember why we're celebrating, and this was the resurrection of Christ and so on. Ms. Robichaud, I'm in Calgary. So there were, yes, we did get new outfits because when you went to church on Easter Sunday, you wore your best and whatever that was. And I remember my mom used to have to order things from Italy because there wasn't that much available in Croatia at the time. So we would get new outfits, and it was just a lot of talk about hope, and that's kind of what I took with me as I was growing up. That yes, I celebrated the the traditional Easter, Canadian Easter, with my son, where he got the basket and all that good stuff, right? But for me, it was always a time of hope, a time of saying, you know what, this too, whatever was happening, this too shall pass. Things will get better. We will all be redeemed and all that kind of good stuff. So that was the big thing for me. But since I discovered the chocolate, here, totally into that. Totally into that.
Well, we had the traditional. I mean, I'm Catholic. I grew up Catholic. Went to
Yes.
church, and that, of course, in the morning, had the Easter Bunny stop by. But I got up because I don't know if you can see this picture. This is me at like 3 years old in my Sunday finest.
Oh my gosh.
My parents were so poor. My mom said that
Look
my
how
grandma bought this for me with the purse and the patent leather shoes.
Oh my gosh, that's adorable.
I have it up on my bulletin board because I just think it's so funny. But she said, yeah, we couldn't afford that. Grandma bought that for you. But yeah, that was an Easter morning outfit, no doubt.
Yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah.
My mom made us a new outfit every year for Easter because she was a seamstress. She sewed
Oh, nice.
beautifully. But I would always get a new Easter dress and an Easter hat and the
Yeah.
white patent leather shoes and the whole shebang. And my grandparents kind of went overboard with us. And then of course it was do the Easter egg hunts out in the yard. And then we had Easter egg wars. I don't know if anybody else had those where you would knock the eggs
Yes.
together and whoever's eggs were left, whoever had the most eggs not cracked left didn't have to eat any of them. And if your eggs were cracked, then you had to eat the eggs that were cracked. So it was like,
Oh gosh.
people would really ram your egg.
No, I had a very
Open up,
strange
open up.
time because I actually we didn't have any church affiliation because my parents were metaphysical. So my mother, when we were about as young as like 5 years old, she would make eggs, hard-boiled eggs, and paint them, and then she'd hide them in the backyard for us to find the next morning. So they'd be wrapped in foil. And we were all like a little dejected that they weren't chocolate. My mother was one of the first
Yeah.
people. No, my mother was a health food nut. She would drive from our town near Berkeley. She'd drive all the way in 30 minutes to go to the first health food store there on California Street. So my mother was way beyond her time. And she just didn't give us chocolate. So, of course, she would tell us, well, this isn't what Easter's about. This is about new life. So
Yeah.
instead of saying resurrection, it's about new life. And that's what we'd hear growing up. So then when my kids were old enough to get, yum yums, what did I do? The chocolate Easter basket. Of course. I would go to See's Candy, which is big in California.
Oh,
and I would
yeah.
buy the little chocolate eggs, and I'd hide them everywhere. I did it outside one year, and the kids said, "What are you doing, Mom? It's damp out here." All around the house. Then they complained again. So I started just doing the big basket. Here's your basket. Here's your basket.
Yeah.
But really, it did become about chocolate with my kids. But, it was never, later as an adult, I did really think about what Easter really brings to us as far as the spring equinox and the energies of renewal and new life springing forth. And that, of course, goes into the resurrection. It's all about that. So, yeah, that was it. Chocolate.
But yeah, the eggs. Oh my God, that was my favorite. My dad would hide them in the house, my mom and dad, after we went to bed. And that was my fun, trying to find every single egg that they hid inside the house.
Mhm.
And I completely forgot about the picture. I'm glad Ivana brought hers up because I was going to pull mine out.
Oh my goodness.
At least you didn't have that creepy one. Have you seen the creepy one?
No, I think
Oh,
was
that
more-
one's okay.
That's
Yeah.
a cute one. Yes.
Uh-huh.
And about
Look at
that,
you.
I
How
actually
adorable.
played the Easter Bunny twice for the Niagara Arts and Cultural Center.
Ah.
And that was kind of almost, I think, kind of not necessarily the creepy one, but it was so funny. Well, it wasn't funny at the time, but trying to wear that mask over my head with my glasses, and it's hot and it's sweaty. Well, I'm coming down the front steps of the NAC, and I missed a step. I tripped,
Oh, no.
and I went down like 2 or 3, and all in front of the kids. And so the minute I hit the ground, I just was like, hop up, pretend you're going to hop. And I had to hop up and jump around, and I was going, oh, silly.
Yeah.
The kids are all like, the Easter Bunny fell. But to have young kids coming up to me and putting their arms around me and hugging me and telling me they loved me because I was the Easter Bunny. Oh my God, I cannot tell you how that felt. And so I did that 2 years in a row. And I started, some of the older kids are like, Easter Bunny, why are you wearing sneakers? And I remember going, because it wasn't, the best, you couldn't cover up.
Because my feet hurt. That's what you tell them.
But falling down in front of all those kids, some of them almost started to cry, and me just jumping up and going, yeah, I'm klutzy. I mean, I walked into a tree Monday, so things haven't changed, since the past few years. So, but yeah, that and the Easter lilies and the hyacinth are my favorites. When we go to the store to go shopping, I have to stop and smell the hyacinth and the Easter lilies, and it brings such just happy memories, So, yeah, that was candy. The eggs, I think the eggs were the best. Because I with the color, I'm an artist. I love decorating with the colors and things and stuff, and
Absolutely.
so yeah. And of course, being raised Catholic, we made sure. But my dad liked doing Saturday masses. He wanted to be religious, but he didn't like Sundays. So we would get there on do the Saturday mass, and of course, 5 minutes before the mass is over, he's pulling us out through the back door, and people are looking, and because he wants to get and beat traffic.
Yeah.
That's how we
That was
worked
my
it
daddy.
I think it was the only time we ever went to church was at Easter and Christmas Eve.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
In high school, my two best friends, one was Jewish and one was Catholic. So I got to experience both variations of the Easter time. We had Passover and we had Easter. So I was like, okay, I should be good to go, man. I'm getting both ends of the book. So, to turn around and tell people, yeah, well, when they'd say, well, what religion are you? And I say, I believe in the Force.
There you go.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I believe in the
my
Force.
teacher.
And so you're like, you watch too much Star Wars. I said, I don't care.
You can never watch too much Star Wars.
Thank you. Or Star Trek for that matter. Allison, you've been absolutely silent up there in the corner.
Listening.
It's your turn. You talk.
Okay. Easter, we didn't really do much when I was little other than, we always got a basket for my parents. We weren't religious at all. So when we were really, really little, though, there was a brief period there, probably 3 or 4 years, where we did get the dresses. I think we already had patent leather shoes because we would, I don't know, for whatever reason, my mom, we would already have them for whatever.
Yeah, they were very much in style.
Yes.
But there's pictures, several Easters in a row. I'm going to guess I was probably 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then they stopped. So, and my grandmother on my dad's side bought the dresses, and then we did have dinner at my mom's parents' house, and then that stopped for some reason. I don't know. Again, none of us were religious, but there was a period there where Easter dinner was done. It was really just an excuse for the family to get together and everybody to come from out of town because we all lived within Michigan, but in different areas. And then we just did Easter baskets at home. Now, Easter, though, is actually one of my favorite holidays. It's not about religion whatsoever, as you probably guessed. For me, it's all about the cute animals. The rabbits and the chicks and all of that.
And baby chicks.
And when my son was born, really started celebrating Easter because I've just always loved Easter. I had a cat named Easter. I had a Tonkinese that was gray and white. He had blue eyes. He was just very pastel. And I got him on Good Friday. I named him Easter. Anyhow, but I digress. Let's see, really quickly. Easter is I could talk and talk and talk about it, so I'll just try to consolidate it. I did a lot of stuff that was Easter related for my son. Every single year we did blown eggs, which probably some of you know what that is, where you poke a hole in each end of the egg very carefully and you break the yolk with a long needle. And I finally perfected it if anybody wants to do this, because it's a chore. But anyways, you blow the yolk out of it completely, and then you soak them in vinegar water, and then you let them dry like on a windowsill or whatever. And then you can paint them and you can keep them forever, and they're gorgeous. They look like colored eggs, but they never go bad, right? They just have a tiny hole on each end. You can cover it if you want, or hang a string in it or whatever. We did that. I mean, we've done so many things. And then my son was in Waldorf kindergarten through 6th grade. So when they celebrate Easter, actually they celebrate several different holidays that are all kind of intertwined with that. So we've done Easter to tears in a lot of different ways. And actually I was realizing this is the first year that I haven't decorated. I've been so busy with stuff in my own life, and I didn't put anything out. And I usually have quite a bit. Part of it is that my son's not here, but I love Easter. But for me, my birthday is March 21st. It's just, I love the spring equinox. It's a whole bunch of things all within like a 10-day period. Well, probably a couple weeks really, because Easter kind of moves around. But I love Easter. I love rabbits. Rabbits are one of my favorite animals, hares specifically. I'll share a fun fact that some of you may know, some of you may not know, is that the whole thing with the hare, the Easter hare, was, I believe it was European where it started, and then we kind of adopted it over here, but we don't have hares, we have jackrabbits. But and it kind of translates, but not really. And the whole reason that even came into being is because, so like rabbits are kind of like group animals, right? So they hang out like in families and, you know, big groupings and whatever, whereas hares are more solitary. But they really watch out for each other out in the wild. And so if there's a predator coming or whatever, a hare will thump its foot on the ground really hard. And that's where the whole symbology of resurrection and what's the other word? Sacrifice come in, because they basically put themselves, you know, up for risk when they're warning another animal that something's by. So it was all very symbolic. And the hare was also very symbolic in Egypt as well, for rebirth and all that kind of stuff. And it's,
Wow, I never knew any of that.
I didn't know that.
Interesting. Wow.
so
I
I
learned
have the
something new
pictures.
tonight.
I have so many. You guys would. Oh, I have this. Actually, this one right here on my dining room wall.
Aww.
It's a painting.
Yeah.
But I have rabbits all over the place and hares. But I have, this is a deck. This is a Druid deck that I have, and it.
Nice.
Oh, I like that.
Nice.
And it's not showing up very well because I always have my lighting issue. But anyhow, Easter for me is all about the rabbits and the chicks, and it was so much fun with my son. I actually mailed his Easter basket today. He's in college, and yes, he got an Easter basket last year, and he got one this year, and he'll get one next year. And he loves it and looks forward to it, and it changes what's in it. Like he got a gas card. And he got some candy that he likes, or certain candy that he likes. So I go ahead and get it. And, you know, some other stuff. But Easter has just always been, and we always did an egg hunt, always. And I'm like the best at hiding eggs, so that kid really has to look for them. And we were in California through most of that. So yes, the egg hunts were in the backyard. Yeah, there were no gimmies. Like you had to look for them, but our eggs were good. They had money inside and Hot Wheels. We would always do some bigger ones for him and whatever. But anyhow, yeah, we no religion here, but I've always loved Easter. I do know a lot about it and the religious aspect, all of it, and the story. And there's different religions, but anyways, yeah, that's what Easter is for me. So
Nice.
That's
Yeah, it was always a family thing for us too.
Wanted to type in that, don't feel bad, Allison. I continued Easter even after they got married and had their own families.
Easter's not going anywhere. I really like Easter. Yeah.
My mom would bring over an Easter basket for me even after my son was grown.
It didn't
Yeah.
matter. I still
They'll
trust
probably always get one. Like I just don't, and I like doing it. I like. I
It's
mean,
fun.
I've made him baskets. I like like this time, and I kind of switched up. This time, I sent him actually a gift bag, but I decorated it. I'm very crafty and scrapbooky and all this kind of stuff. And I should have taken a picture of it. And there's been a couple years where I didn't send a basket. I got him a really cool oilcloth reversible bag last year. It was about this big for his toiletries, and I put everything in that with. I get
that's
paper
cool.
grass and put it all in there, and so. But it's always an Easter basket though. It has grass, and there's always rabbits and a chocolate bunny and blah 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 blah
Yeah.
blah. So, but anyhow,
I think one of my greatest treasures I have my mother's Easter basket from when she was a little girl.
aw,
She saved it and just always kept it put aside. And when she got right after she had the aneurysm, she gave it to me. She said, just in case something happens, I want you to have it. And I'm like, Mom, don't do that to me. Because it was a good while longer before she got sick and then passed. But yeah, I still have her Easter basket from when she was a little girl. It's so fragile now. I'm scared to even touch it for fear that it'll come apart. And but yeah,
that's what moms are supposed to do, though.
yeah.
Yeah.
You had to be careful with my mom.
I still do it
Like,
with
you
my
couldn't
son.
even-
I buy him Easter candy and I buy me Easter candy.
Yep.
But yeah, we was, get dressed up. We always went to my great grandmother's house for Easter Sunday, and there was ham and there was homemade coconut cake that my mama would make every year with the none of it was store bought. Homemade
everything was
and
scratch
frosting that she would cook in a pot. It was like cooked
Yeah,
frosting.
the 7-minute
And
frosting.
with the coconut all over it, and it's the only time I'll eat coconut is like that.
Yeah.
And I can't make it. I've tried for years to make that cake, and it just doesn't come out. I don't know, something about the way she did it. Nobody else has been able to replicate it in the family.
Mhm. Like my aunt had the best apple pie. My mom was the best cook and everything else, but when it came to apple pies, my aunt outdid her. So
Yeah.
we
That
always
was
had
my
to
mom
make
with pecan pie. My mom made a killer pecan pie. She would have to make one for my husband, one for my brother, and then one for everybody else to enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if she just made one, they would fight over it, and no one else would get any.
Yes, some Sundays we would go to my grandmother's, like a lamb was usually. And then as I got older, and I'm like, lamb, no! It takes a while when you're younger, for the lights to go off. When
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this is yummy. And then you're like, wait a minute, that, and
What?
you
Yeah.
put two together. So, but yeah, either roast, ham, pot roast, or, like a lamb. So, yeah.
Yeah.
My family
Easter
really
with
didn't
us
get
was
along. so,
always ham. Yeah.
yeah.
Ham and before you had the main meal, Mom would cut up some ham, cut up some of the eggs that had been decorated, or whatever, and usually homemade bread, and then scallions that were cut, and then you would munch on that before you sat down at the table, and then you had the big ham dinner. And but
We always had fresh rabbit because my grandfather was a hunter.
Mm,
He would go get
I
him a
can't
couple of
do
rabbits.
bunny. Oh, I can't do bunny.
yeah.
I don't know what kind of rabbit they were, but I just know it was fresh.
Yeah.
He'd
There's
get
just
them like
some
a day or
animals
two
I can't
before,
eat.
and they would get cooked. So,
Yeah.
along with pheasant and ham and a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But yeah, so we ate a lot of wild game when I was a kid because my granddaddy hunted. And
Yeah.
so we rarely bought meat at the grocery store. It was the neighbor across the street had his own boat and would go fishing and crabbing and shrimping and that kind of stuff. My grandfather was a hunter, so he would go hunting all the different hunting seasons, and they would always split their catch or their kill.
Yeah.
So we always had a freezer full of game and
Yeah,
seafood.
never had to go hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. You know.
See, now I'm hungry. Well done.
I already ate, so I'm like, oh, now I want dessert, and I don't have any.
I know now I want chocolate,
Chocolate
and I've
in the
been
house.
fighting it because all week, every time I went to drink my Coke or to eat a piece of chocolate, I would hear Allison in my head saying,
Allison,
"Stay
yeah.
away from the sugar."
I'm like, Grandpa, not sugar in caramel. I know, but.
There's a question, Sherry. Didn't that traumatize the little kids that Grandpa killed the Easter Bunny?
No, because they would make it something else. It wasn't ever depicted as the Easter Bunny. It was.
I get it.
He was fairly careful about that. So, because
Oh,
my
my sister
granddaddy
was
was
cruel.
nothing but a big kid himself. Kids would come knock on the door and ask my grandmother, "Could your little boy come out to play?" Talking about her husband, my grandfather. You know,
Aw.
Craig, how are you doing?
Well,
Oh, he's getting discharged.
he is, but he's got a infection. So we want to send you lots of love and take
Yes.
care of driving home.
Lots of prayer.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
when I
sorry,
was
Craig.
younger-
Thanks for letting us know. We're going to send you good
Yes.
juju. Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you need anything, you let us know.
And he
Aw, kisses to
He's
Craig.
wonderful.
There we go.
I found out a couple of weeks ago that my boss's favorite candy was Almond Joy. And when I went to the store
that's
last
good.
week to buy candy for the office, I bought him a big shareable bag of just Almond Joy and I just brought it to him. He's like, "What's that for?" And I said, "It's for you." He said, "Why?" I said, "Because you like Almond Joy." Nobody else eats it. So here, you get it back by
Oh,
yourself.
that's good. That and mounds. But yeah, when you're talking about the bunny rabbit, my dad, I didn't like him, hunting animals and especially the deer. And so one time my sister was like, "Oh, look, Daddy killed Bambi."
Oh.
And I ran into the house crying, "Daddy killed Bambi." So yeah, I get it with the bunny rabbit. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll never forget. I was at my friend's house and we were having some, something to drink and I wanted some ice. She said, "Just get it out of the freezer." Well, I opened the freezer to her
Uh-oh.
and there were all these dead birds in there.
Oh.
I was so traumatized because the father didn't do anything with them. He just like froze them.
Yeah.
Oh,
That-
God, it was awful. Yeah.
Hmm. I know
Was
my
he a
art teacher did that
taxidermist?
for paintings.
Hmm?
Sorry,
Was
Allison.
he a taxidermist?
No, he would eat them. They were like,
They were whole with their feathers on them.
yes. Yeah.
You have to take the organs out. They were at least.
I would think
gutted, I
so.
would assume.
Maybe they did and he just didn't defeather them. I don't know.
Got it.
But
was
I
saying,
just
'cause
went,
You would. That's gonna make you
Oh,
sick.
yeah.
just freaked me
Yeah.
out. Yeah, freaked me
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, I
that's
would be
weird.
too. Yeah.
I
had an
sure
art
would
teacher
be
do
eating
that
dinner
too.
at their house.
I'll just have the potatoes and vegetables. Thank you.
I would even be suspicious of those.
It's like chicken.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, in Peru, one of their popular dishes in Peru are guinea pigs. So when I go to this pet stores, I'm like, "Oh, you're so lucky you're not in Peru."
Mhm.
But yeah, different
Yeah, I think
delicacies.
you know what it's around the world. I think it's a case of what you're used to, B, what's available.
Yeah.
It is, and animals
know?
are animals. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean,
Hi, Craig.
I just have to say one thing about this. It's so interesting to me how it came to be where like cows, pigs, and chickens, somehow it was decided those are the three.
We
Yeah.
can
Those
eat
are the
those.
ones. I mean, there's others, but it's like, why did those three? And they all are wild originally.
And turkeys. Yeah. And
And
turkeys.
turkey.
Yep, they're all wild originally, but they've been very domesticated, if you will, right?
Yeah.
And like cows look completely different from what they originated from. Chickens look very much the same.
Yep.
But it's just, like chickens are out of the jungle. They're jungle birds.
Yeah.
It's
I didn't know that.
it's crazy. Yeah. And a lot of people don't. It's like they don't even know like where, it's just interesting. And obviously pigs were boar, you know, and they slowly,
Yeah.
you know, sows, whatever. But it's just,
Yeah.
it's just really interesting. So, and that could spin off into about a million other conversations. So I'll leave it. Actually, I want to say one thing before I don't get a chance to say it. And I was hesitant to say it, but me being me, I'm just going to say it. So,
Say it, girl. Just say it. Go for it.
here's a book, and I swear, you guys, and those of you here will believe me, even if nobody else does. I'm kind of joking, but Sylvia Brown, I'm going to mention her again. I'm not a big Sylvia Brown person. I swear I'm not. But
Yeah.
another plug for one of her books. What is it? I don't know. So again, a lot of people don't like Sylvia Brown. Fair enough. I didn't like her in the end either. Before she used her gift and became kind of, you know, she just Mr. Grouch, Mrs. Well, Mr.
Yeah, she was
Miss
very
whatever,
rude, very
grouchy.
grouchy. Yeah.
But anyways, she wrote a book, and I learned a lot from her initially, you know, and I'm not saying that she was right about everything or that she, you know, but she opened my eyes to like a lot of stuff and at least opened the door in a lot of different directions. But she wrote a book called The Mystical Life of Jesus. And this book is really interesting. And I'm not saying it's all true or accurate or right? None of us know any of this stuff for certain. I don't care what it is. If it's woo-woo or spiritual, you don't know for hard fact certain about any of it. Sorry.
Yeah.
We just don't, right? A lot of it goes just with your belief and you go by your gut and da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
So having said that, she wrote this book and it just kind of makes you go, you know what I mean? Like a lot of stuff does. And so if anybody's interested in it, or if your local library has it or whatever, or you could
I
find
read
it
that
for $1
many years ago.
or whatever. Yeah. And this is old. She wrote this in, I know my son was already born. This is from, I don't know if it really matters. This is from 2006. But anyways, it's very interesting. So she channeled all this information from her guide. It's a really interesting book. The resurrection is in here. His whole life is in here.
Did she
From
bring up
time
the
he was
idea?
born, before he was born until he died as an old man.
I was going to ask if that was something that she.
He
You know,
lived a
'cause
very
other people-
full, long life.
Like-
Him and his wife Mary had a bunch of children.
I remember reading
I believe
Dolores
that's-
Cannon's Jesus and the Essenes, and that he spent. Did she bring up that he spent any time with the Essenes at all in her book?
They were all over the place. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I read this so long ago, Allie. Like I
Yeah.
literally read it the year it came out. I haven't read it since.
I know.
And
I read the other
pulled it
one
out.
in the 90s. Yeah,
I put it
but
on
it
my
was very
bedside. I'm
good.
going to read it again.
Uh-huh.
It was really, really good. And it was fascinating what she has to say about the cross and taking him down and what happened after that. And it's really cool. He was, you know, he was a prophet, but he was also a man
Exactly.
Yep.
that was born from a regular mother and his much older father. And, you know, it was a love story. And they had a kid. And,
Yeah.
Mhm.
you know, and
Many
there
of
was
us
all this
happen to be a
fantasy and all
prophet.
this crazy stuff all around him and whatever. And anyways, I'm giving
He was
it
like,
away.
he was like
but
a
it's a really
shaman
good
of his
story.
day, a medicine man. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's a
He
really
could
good
heal.
story. And he was a beautiful man.
Mhm.
Yeah, and he
There
was very
is hope.
misconstrued and a bunch of stuff was said about him. And, you know, some of it was true and a lot of it was just fantasy.
Just really quick.
And control.
There
Yeah,
is
make up a story
a
to
temple-
control the masses.
Yeah, absolutely. It's government like controlling, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
There
But it was
is a
really
couple- Sorry, Allison. I think it's
What-
all done.
what's
I didn't mean
that?
to interrupt. There is a
Oh, it's
couple
okay.
on who's they're musicians, and they're on YouTube. And the first time I saw a clip of it, I looked right at it, and I'm like, oh my god, it's Jesus and Mary Magdalene. They go by Savage and She, and he looks like the traditional. I mean, he's just beautiful, and she is absolutely gorgeous. And they make this beautiful. It's like electronic music, and the beats and the rhythms, they're so beautiful. And when they, you know, they're singing, well, when she sings and he's playing his instruments and they're doing their console and everything, they take moments where they look at each other, they'll kiss each other, or they'll do. I mean, it's just a beautiful energy. And when I saw that, I'm like, Shan, oh my God, we call them Cristo and Maria. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, they're just absolutely. To me, it's that energy, and I don't know if it's
Yeah.
intentional that he wants to present himself as is, or if this is just how he was naturally born. Yeah, but I mean, when you see him, it was just like hello, you know. And I don't follow, you know, the any of the Catholic or anything, you know, growing up.
Yeah.
I still hold on to Mother Mary, as a lot of people know. But when I saw them, it was beautiful too, because it helped me heal some of my my hatred for, you know, the Christian mythologies. And I'm not doing that to, you know, offend anybody in chat or in our group here, but just because of what, you know, they used as his name. Growing up, I didn't know that, but as I got older, it got harder and harder for me to accept him, those certain aspects into my spirituality. And a lot of it, you know, just kind of stemming from, you know, hatred. And seeing these two together, it was just so beautiful. It made my heart soften. And I
Yes.
love pulling them up and listening to their music and watching them. They're Savage and She, and they're just absolutely beautiful. If anybody could, you know, likes that kind of music, it's yeah, you know, just to
That's
check them
cool.
out for a few minutes. I mean, she's beautiful. She's thin. She's very sexual. Yeah, sexual. Not, you know, not like, you know, how do I put it? Not like in your face, but she's very sexual, sensual. She's
Sensual.
beautiful. Her hair is sensual. She's got the dark hair and doing her different and her dancing and her movements. And with him, it's just
Yeah.
I sometimes wonder if that's not the both of them reincarnated. You know, the way, you know, they show that love for each other when they're doing their music and how they look and how they play off of each other. So didn't mean to go off on the tangent, but
Oh no, you're fine.
You're
when,
good.
you know,
You're good.
you brought up, you
I
know,
mean, it's funny because I don't think any of us are actually Christian anymore, or maybe never were. But yet, and I know a lot of people who aren't Christian, especially where I work, they're all 80% of them are Muslim, you know, but it's or Hindu, one of the two. But yet, it's funny how one religion was able to take all of these different aspects and kind of lump them all together and make a buck off of it. Which, thank you, Catholic Church. They're good at that.
Yeah.
I can say that because I was a Catholic when I was little. Then when I grew up, I became a Southern Baptist for a little while, and then I got out of that cult. And so I've seen them. Yeah. I've seen them, Heather.
he looks exactly. I mean, it's just, and the music that they make, I just, yeah,
Cool.
I automatically saw that. And
But you know, it's just funny how the Christian religion, which seems to symbolize on kind of a worldwide scale what Easter is, wasn't even their holiday. I mean, it was taken from other things.
Well,
Yeah.
so
from
much
the
pagan
pagans,
is in
the
it.
early
Yeah,
pagans.
you know, a lot of paganism, a lot of Wiccan, a lot of other earth type religions, you know, that they incorporated in just because
Yeah,
of
the original
springtime.
pagans.
Yeah, you know, so
That was also I can't. Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's such a rabbit hole. We could go down.
We could go
Clearly.
on and on and
Absolutely.
on.
Yeah.
One
There's so
other quick
much to say
thing.
about it.
Christ was like totally psychic. Like
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
well, without a doubt.
Reiki, psychic, all of it.
hugely psychic. Yeah, very cool. Yeah.
When I first started getting mediumship stuff, and I was working with someone who was trying to help me get in the zone and get there, and he's the one that popped in and was like, kind of blew me off of mine. It was like, whoa, wait a minute. It was, you know, it wasn't what I expected, and he was like, you know, I'm just a
And one
master,
other
like
thing.
everyone, you know, like all
Sorry.
the others.
Yeah.
Something else that just popped into my head. I just remember this doesn't really matter, but it's in here somewhere. I think. I'm like 99% sure. So somebody ends up hearing elsewise, let me know. But I'm pretty darn sure it was from here. Yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure it was. He did not look at all like he was depicted in all the stuff he was depicted in. He's
No.
very dark skinned, very,
He was an Arab.
very olive skinned,
Of course.
gorgeous dark hair,
Mhm.
dark brown, if not black eyes.
Yep.
Mhm.
You know, he was not white
No.
He didn't have
No.
the
Blonde hair and
Caucasian.
blue eyes.
blue eyes.
at all.
Right.
He was,
There's a picture that's out online that came out like the last year or two, where somebody like downloaded the Bible, the Torah, all this other stuff into the computer and had the AI in the computer take all the information from
Oh.
all aspects of Jesus and give us a composite picture of
compile
what
a
he looks
composite
like.
picture.
And I mean, he basically looks African American, kind of, but not completely. Is a little bit more of the Middle Eastern features and whatnot.
Yes.
But
Middle
the
East.
dark
Middle
color,
East.
the dark
Middle
skin, the
Eastern.
black curly hair, the
Mhm.
and nice looking. I mean, he
They
wasn't like
usually
ugly.
are. Those men are gorgeous.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I worked with a bunch of them. I know. I mean, it's
They
Yeah.
are gorgeous.
Yeah.
but
There was a young girl too, 8 years old. She's
Mhm.
like an artistic prodigy, and
Oh, I've
Jesus
seen
came
that.
to her in a vision, and what she painted was not also your typical, white
Yeah.
hair, blue eye. I mean, he was a deeper skin, short, wavy hair, deeper skin. I mean, the picture she did really was beautiful.
Yeah.
I have to admit, she does mostly all, religious
And
paintings.
of course
but-
he was.
Exactly. That part of the
It's
world
so
below.
grotesque to me.
How could you
Yeah.
have the allure
I
and
mean,
the charisma
I have
if
a
you weren't
very hard
attractive?
time being.
I'm
It's just,
sure you-
it's just
Mhm.
the whole
Just the
thing is
passage.
nauseating.
Yeah,
I'm
the whole
sorry,
thing
it
is
just
good.
is.
Yeah.
It's
yeah, a
ridiculous.
blue-eyed blonde is not how he
That's
looks.
what my sister
No,
has on
and
her
it
wall.
goes beyond that. So much of it is just, and I'm gonna stop there. It's just the whole thing, and that people fall for. It's just, I just can't.
They even have pictures of Mary Magdalene with blonde hair. Hello.
Yeah, I know.
Hello.
Yeah, she's a what's that word? She's
Well,
a
red hair. There's a lot
I
of pictures
mean,
of her
her
being
red
pictured
hair.
as red
Yeah.
hair.
fair skinned and blue
No.
eyed. It's like, give me a no.
Yeah.
And she
No.
wasn't a prostitute.
No.
Oh,
No,
God,
he
from
no.
a
wasn't.
very
He
The whole
came
thing
from a
was
very
all
good
that-
family.
From a wealthy family.
Yeah.
First
Yeah,
of
she
all.
was his supporter. She supported him while he was doing his work.
all
It would be
so
the same
ridiculous.
as
Well-
if one of us decided that okay, we are going to take spirituality on the road. We're going to travel and we're going to talk to as many people about what it's like to, let's say, read cards or do mediumship or whatever, and we need someone who's obviously going to be able to support us along the way. She was his patron. That's what she enabled him to do, a lot of the traveling that he did. But what had happened was once the quote unquote Bible was written, and which was done a couple hundred years after Jesus died, this was a way to control the masses who did
Right.
not read or write.
Right. That's all it was.
That's all it was.
All it was.
And how do you portray to especially the European, the Northern European, that this is something you should listen to, and this is something that's important for you, and you need to tithe through the church and do all these things, is you make the leader of that church look like you,
Yeah, Anglo-Saxon.
right? So that's what they do. That's what they
Yeah.
did. They made Jesus into an image of what their little congregations were all about, so that people could identify. And until they were able to, the printing press and the Bible was printed, you had to believe what was being told. There was no way.
That's all you knew.
Where would you find the information?
Yeah.
Biggest
Yeah.
snow job ever.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
I'll never forget when I was in like 4th or 5th grade, and it was the one year that I went to Catholic school.
Yeah.
And my mom had come to some event we were doing at the school, and he wasn't a father priest, he was a brother priest. So he's like down on a level.
Yeah.
And he was talking with my mom, and he was like trying to be condescending to her, which she didn't put up with very well. And he said something about, well, what do you think about God? And she said, I think she's wonderful. That man nearly hit the floor, and he just, the shock on his face, and he looked at her and he said, how could you say that? And she said, well, doesn't the Bible say that we are in God's image? So if I'm in God's image, then that means God's a woman, because I'm a woman.
Yeah. Hello.
And she turned around and walked away from him, you know, with him sitting there with jaw on the floor, not knowing what to say, and one of the nuns standing behind him trying her damnedest not to laugh. I was watching her
Really?
biting
Oh,
her
wow.
bottom lip, trying not to laugh.
Yeah.
She was one of my favorite nuns at that school. But she
They
was young and had a really good sense of humor, you know. But yeah, I mean,
My mom wouldn't have ever.
They try to make God a guy in a big chair up in the sky. It's so
Yeah.
stupid.
Person. Trying
It's
to make
not a
God
man. It's
person.
not a woman. It's an energy, and it's
It's an
half
energy.
female and half male.
It's a
Hello?
divine force.
it's whatever you make of it. It's whatever
It's
you
not a
make
guy
of it.
in a
Present
chair
for
with
you,
a
yeah.
beard.
There's no.
Yeah.
Doesn't it look like George Burns? Doesn't he look like George Burns?
Right.
I'm sure he does. I'm sure he does.
So
No more
ludicrous.
like
Like when
Morgan
this girl
Freeman.
We definitely have black Jesus with dreadlocks on the wall at my house. Yeah, I had friends that
There
were
you go,
black,
girl.
and that was the picture
Morgan
they had on their walls, you know. So
In your image.
that's right,
Exactly.
in your
Exactly.
image.
In your image.
One
Well,
other
whatever
huge thing
feels-
that's covered in this book, and sorry, I'm going to keep popping in with all these and blah blah blah, is that I'm forgetting like one of the biggest parts. Again, I read this a long time ago, you guys. First and foremost, he was a healer,
Yeah.
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And he did go around doing some crazy stuff that people had not seen before, right? Because the power of God did come through him. He was channeling like crazy, super psychic, whatever. But he could do hands-on healing, where a lot of people it comes from. People copycat that, fake it all the time in certain churches and whatever. Although I'm sure there are people that can heal all around the world, but that's very different from what I was just describing.
Yeah.
But Jesus was, he was a healer. He was a prophet. He was, he would preach. He would, tell the word of God and all this kind of stuff. He knew God wasn't a guy in a chair in the sky.
It was nature.
And it's just, So I just wanted to mention that. I completely forgot about that. Again, it's been a long time since I read it. But first and foremost, I would say he was a healer.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in the Bible,
And that way
very
people
few
would
things
listen to him.
Yeah.
They would see what he could do, and then all eyes were on him. You're like, what? And then that's, not
got
that
him
that's
in
why
trouble.
he was doing it. It wasn't, but it made him credible immediately.
Mhm.
He did give blind people sight. That was one thing I remember. So he did some pretty, wild things like that, which obviously he wasn't doing.
Well, there are healers today
energy
that do
coming through
miraculous
Yeah.
miraculous healings that there's no explanation for how
Or
that,
groups of people coming together.
Well,
and
it's
staying
source.
together and, yeah.
God, whatever word you want to put
whatever
on it.
you want, whatever label you want to give it. I don't think it really matters. I think it's just
And again,
it's
when
a
you're a
form of
prophet,
energy. It's what we're pulling from the universe, that the more powerful, the more that I think you can get to put their power together to do it, the stronger the power is to do something good.
And the people in
I
charge
mean-
saw him as a threat, and they wanted to make an example out of him.
The same reason they saw women as a threat, because women were the healers, the doctors of the
priests-
day. Most
The
of them-
life givers, because we
The
give
life givers, that's right. They were the ones that everyone went to when they were sick, or when they were pregnant, or when they didn't want to be pregnant, or when they, when whatever, they would go see the local healer in town. And the church just didn't want that competition, I guess you could say. So
Yeah, because he
There's
was
the
No,
telling
it's all
people
about
that
the
the
power.
power's in
Who's
their
got the
hands.
power and how you use
There
the
you go.
power, and what are you going to do in order to get the power? But that's what it was. And I mean, I think it was. Oh my gosh, I'm going to forget. Not Stalin, but one of the Russian guys who said, "Yeah, religion is the opiate of the people." Yes, absolutely, it is.
Of the masses.
It is.
Yep.
And yeah, it's control. If you look at it in terms of why would these people do what they did,
Mhm.
it's the same thing as kind of what we're witnessing now, where somebody has control, they don't want to give it up. They're willing to do anything and everything,
Yeah.
lie, cheat, and steal for it to maintain the power. So
Well,
And
he
Mark
even
said it.
referred himself
March.
as God.
Yes, thank you. Yes,
45. He even
Marx.
There
referred
is
to
a
himself
wonderful
as the
book.
next coming.
There's a wonderful
Sorry, Al.
book written by a sociologist, and it is about the two different types of Christians. One is called a Christ-centric, and one is called a bibliocentric. And
Yeah.
you get the people that are bibliocentric, then everything is only what's in the Bible and how they interpret it. But the Christ-centric people, they're the Christians that act as Christ did.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people. So when somebody says they're a Christian, they put that label on them. We don't know what we're getting. And those
Right.
two
Which one?
those two types of Christians do not agree. They
No.
absolutely do not agree.
They wouldn't.
No.
The
There
one
is
thing that
a-
bothers me the most about the Bible is the whole, well, it's not like it's in one spot, it's all over the place, the whole concept of hell. And it just, oh, no pun intended again, I was to say it just burns me up. Ha ha. I was going to say it, but it does. It burns me up.
It's
It
a
makes me
control
so
method.
angry.
It's a control
It's
method.
so
Yeah.
ludicrous.
Through fear.
And there's so many people, good people, I don't mean the ones that deserve it, on
No.
their deathbed,
The people
terrified
going. Yeah.
of going to the other side and resisting dying peacefully because they're so terrified of this crazy fantasy.
Because they
story
ate meat
that they
one Friday, so they're gonna burn in hell.
And
You know.
there's a
Yeah.
hell and damn fire and damnation
That
and
was
all
my
this
dad.
crazy wackadoo
And
stuff.
that is why some people, when they have an NDE, they
Mhm.
see that stuff. Because
Yeah.
mostly it's not, but it's
Right, and
because
it's
their
their
belief
mind,
is
whatever.
so much ingrained.
What
Yeah.
you
Still,
believe
it's
when
just- it's
you
crazy.
cross
It's
over is what you
crazy.
see. What greets
That's it.
you.
Yeah.
And so these people who went over with their NDEs have figured out, oh yeah, now I've got to change my idea of what things are because there is no hell.
There is- Right.
It's just a made up.
It's just
Level
what's in
of-
your head. Yeah.
It's just, you get some.
Yeah.
And remember too
It makes me so
that
mad.
years
Ridiculous.
and years ago, before Luther put up the his whatever, it's gone out of my head now what it's called,
Yeah, me too.
where regular people could buy an indulgence, and what that was is whatever sins you have done, up until now or whenever, if you pay the church X number of dollars, the church is going to forgive
Wipe it
you,
away.
and you're not going to go to hell because the church is praying for you.
Right.
Or you have to go to the hot box.
So who's worse, the church that's saying this awful thing, or the dummy that's fallen for this crapola? Just
Well,
like
guys,
the people
read-
who read the
dummy,
Bible.
but
No
just
offense,
people.
I'm sorry, but it's like, how can you read all that
Read
stuff
the
and buy it?
Canterbury
I knew it was
Tales.
a little girl.
Yes.
That was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, I was
Read the
child,
Canterbury
I believe.
Tales. They'll tell you a lot. Yeah. The
I don't
pardoners.
want
You have
any
to
of
pay to
growing
be
up,
pardoned.
and I would, and
Yes.
I had a
Like, this
senior
is
tell me
nonsense.
I would burn in hell.
Nonsense.
And when you
Right.
tell people something like that, especially a child,
I always knew
you
it was
do
crazy
believe
talk.
that. And
Yeah,
so
people
you
are
know,
indoctrinated
I
into
can
it.
understand that.
Those who come
Exactly.
out of it do, but yeah.
Not necessarily being dummies, but just being so put in fear and having,
Yeah.
from a young age, being conditioned to be in that fear all the time.
We do
Brainwashed.
have
They were
we do
afraid.
have to
Brainwashed.
say we do have to say though that everybody is entitled to their own belief.
Yes,
And
of course.
whatever.
Absolutely.
We're
yeah.
not the ones that decide what other people believe in, but it is nice to know that you can make a different choice if you
Yes.
find
I
out
wish
things
that
are
it
good.
wasn't taught to children at a young age because you're grooming them for this whole, and then they grow, you're forming their mind to, I mean, I know so many people that are spiritual now, but believed all this stuff when they were little, or they thought they believed it because that's what was.
That's what society did. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so sad. And like I said, I was around it. I had friends that were religious and we were kind of exposed to it. And the little bit that I was like, I don't want that anywhere near me.
If you want to know all the arguments, just watch George Carlin's thing on God.
And I have seen, I've seen probably
It's the
everything
best.
George Carlin. I love him.
George.
And he was on this. He was, George
Many
Carlin.
years ago. Yeah.
God
Yeah.
bless George Carlin.
I know.
Buddy Christ.
Oh, you know he's up there right now,
Yes.
rolling around,
He's so
laughing at
good.
everybody every time we bring him up, saying, "Yeah, see, that
He had
joke meant
everything
something to
figured
somebody."
And everything he said was true.
Oh yeah,
That's
Like
right.
the political stuff, the religious stuff. He was freaking hilarious.
Yeah.
He was.
It was sad, but it was all on target.
Yeah.
So
And
my
if
If
son
you aren't
wrote.
familiar with
Hear
him,
the
there's
audience
tons of him on
cry.
YouTube.
Yeah.
My
Tons
son
of
had to
footage.
write a paper on who was the most influential person in his life when he was in 10th grade, and it was George Carlin.
Oh,
Aw.
And
Wow.
you know, I'm sure they thought I was awful, but we went to see him. We went to see him
Oh,
when he
did
was
you?
like a freshman in high school. Yeah.
Oh, that's
And
so cool.
we saw him in Texas, and I don't know what people were thinking, but people were getting up with, and they were disgusted, and they walked out. And we're like, didn't they know
Love
what they were
that.
getting? Yeah, didn't they know?
yeah.
In Texas, they're like,
Oh,
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
he probably went there kind of tongue in cheek too, because he was a total walking smart aleck,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Oh my
Yep.
God.
And
yes.
yeah, I'm sure. I'm surprised half the audience didn't get up and walk out like 30 minutes into his shtick.
Or less than.
well,
30
I
minutes.
know. I memorized the 7 dirty words you can never say on TV the freshman year of high school, a year after the album came out. And I was a freshman in high school, and it was like that was the hottest album on the market at the time.
Yeah.
Everybody was memorizing that list, you know, and learning to say it fast enough that we could get it by your parent and then not have them pick up on all the words that you said. You know, that's a
And then there was
Southern
Al
Texas
Sleet, the hippy dippy weatherman.
for you. Yeah.
Tomorrow it's light followed by dark.
Yes.
Or, you know, Cheech and Chong, some of their stuff was just
Oh, I can't stand
absolutely
John.
hilarious and timeless. I mean, it's just like with George Carlin stuff. It's still relevant today. What
We have devolved this Easter this Easter message. So, you know, I think that probably Create Love says, live as if you were God. Or I say, live as if this is the last day on earth. And so
Yeah.
I want to wish everybody a happy Easter and everybody a happy, what is it, Mabon? I don't know what it is. Is it
Mabon.
Mabon? Okay.
No,
Baby
Mabon,
Buddha's
no,
birthday?
Ostara.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
Ostara.
Ostara.
Yeah,
Mabon
Ostara is
was
what we
in,
just had.
September.
spring equinox? Yeah, you got
That's the fall
Passover
meeting.
began
Whatever
today.
you're celebrating,
So,
whatever you're celebrating,
Whatever you're celebrating.
enjoy.
Being
today was
alive.
the first day of Passover, so it's also a full moon, the full pink moon, which is kind of something to think
Libra.
about when you think that it's
Full moon
also
in
the
Libra.
first day of Passover.
Well, they said it's a pink moon because it was a time when the pink flowers, the wildflowers, were starting to bloom.
Yeah.
And they knew that spring was coming, and they chose the word pink for that moon. So,
We
but
had flowers
Easter
open
came from-
everywhere yesterday and today.
yes, so Easter
That's it.
actually came from the goddess
Michigan.
Istra, you know, and her symbols were the egg and the hare and the rabbit. So that's how they got the word Easter. They just took it from the pagan Istra.
That's it.
Yep.
Well, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. I mean, we've just hit our hour. I know everybody's tired. We've got a lot of Easter stuff to do to get ready for Sunday.
Not me.
Whether we believe in Easter or not, we still
Right.
do all the stuff, you know, for some.
Channel your inner
But,
Easter bunny.
This has been a great conversation. I've had a ball just listening to everybody's different thoughts.
Great.
And
Good topic, Sherry.
Yeah.
So
And remember, you can call on the energy of hair because that is the, you know, the symbol, and it's the hair. And I know we all love to say the rabbit and the Easter rabbit, but it's actually the hair, just for accuracy's sake. They have very different energies, hares and rabbits. Rabbits are afraid of everything and they're all scared. They're adorable. I love rabbits, but hares are very, very different. Very different. Super independent and.
Yeah, I remember that cartoon that they had us watch when I was younger called Watership Down, and it was such a terrifying thing to watch as a child. But I don't know if anybody saw it, but it was an animation, a cartoon of hares, you know, having to fight, and there was blood and there was violence and everything, and you know, I don't know
Well,
why
this
they
little
would
hair
show up.
doesn't have any blood or violence.
I know that's a good thing. I was just, you know,
I'm
bringing
just
that up
being
because
silly.
it came
And he's
to mind
got his
talking
little
about-
his little eggs right there.
Aw.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
That was kind
This
of
is a
scary thing to
Celtic
watch as a child.
deck for anybody that's interested.
very good. Well, thank you,
Thanks,
ladies.
everybody.
Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Y'all have a happy Easter time weekend. Don't
Have a
gorge
happy
on too much
Easter.
chocolate, or
Yes,
you'll
a
be
happy
sick.
Easter.
Have a happy Easter.
One bunny. That's all you get. One chocolate bunny.
You're no
Don't
bunny
limit
until
yourself.
somebody loves you.
I was gonna say somebody loves you. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye,
Bye-bye,
everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.